So picture this, you're crushing it in your field, maybe you're a scientist, an artist, or you've just done something genuinely incredible for society. One day you get a letter, not an email, a physical letter, and it's basically saying the monarch wants to give you a title. That's when things get interesting because not all titles are created equal. Let's start with the one everyone's heard of, knighthood. This is your classic, sir, situation. The coolest part? It goes back literally centuries. We're talking medieval times when knights were actual warriors. Today, though, you don't need armor or a sword, though ironically, you do get tapped with a sword during the ceremony, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it. Here's the thing about being knighted, it's personal. You earn it, you keep it for life, and when you die, that's it. Your kids don't inherit the title. It's all about what you did, not your family tree. And there are different types. The most basic version is called a knight bachelor. You become Sir First Name, but you don't get any fancy letters after your name. It's like the entry-level knighthood, which sounds funny, but it's still massively prestigious. Then you've got knights who are part of actual orders, these medieval organizations that still exist. If you're made a knight commander of the Order of the British Empire, you get to be Sir First Name and you get to stick KBE after your name on official stuff. Women get Dame instead of Sir, by the way. Dame Judi Dench, for example. That's a real title, not just a cool-sounding thing. What about foreigners? Well, they can get honorary knighthoods. Bill Gates has one. So does Angelina Jolie. But here's the catch, they can't actually use Sir or Dame in front of their names. It's like getting the achievement but not being allowed to display the trophy. Still impressive, just different. Now let me blow your mind a little. There's something called a baronet, and it's basically the only hereditary honor that's not a full peerage. King James first invented it back in 1611, and here's why. He needed money. So he literally sold these titles to wealthy dudes. You pay up, you become a baronet, and more importantly, your son becomes a baronet and his son after that. It's like a family subscription to prestige that never expires. Baronets get styled as Sir too, which must be confusing at parties. But they add BT after their name to show they're different from regular knights. Women can inherit the title in their own right and become baronetesses. The catch, they're not actual nobles. They don't get seats in the House of Lords. They're kind of in this weird middle ground between regular knights and actual aristocrats. The funny thing is, nobody's created a new baronetcy since 1964. The government basically stopped making them. So every baronet you meet today is carrying on a title that's probably centuries old. It's like owning a vintage car, except it's your entire social status. Speaking of actual aristocrats, let's talk about the peerage. This is the big leagues. We're talking dukes, marquises, earls, viscounts, and barons. These are the people who historically owned massive chunks of land and had real political power. Duke is the highest rank that's not royalty, and there are only about 30 of them in the entire country. When you address a duke, you're supposed to say, Your Grace. Everyone else gets lord or lady. For centuries, all these peers automatically got seats in the House of Lords, which is one of the two chambers of Parliament. Imagine being born and automatically getting a spot in government. That's how it worked. Until 1999, when Parliament basically said, yeah, this is ridiculous, and kicked most of them out. Now only 92 hereditary peers remain in the Lords, and they're elected by other hereditary peers, which is still kind of weird, honestly. But here's where it gets modern, life peers. Starting in 1958, the government began creating peers whose titles die with them. These are people who have done exceptional things, top judges, business leaders, scientists, artists. They get to be lord or lady. They sit in the House of Lords, but their kids don't inherit anything. It's merit-based aristocracy, which sounds like an oxymoron but somehow works. Now next is the Order of the British Empire is probably the most common honor you'll see. It was created during World War I, when King George V realized they needed to recognize not just generals and aristocrats, but regular people doing extraordinary things. Factory workers, nurses, volunteers. Suddenly they could get honors too. There are 5 levels, and this is where it gets like a video game ranking system. At the bottom, you've got the MBE, member of the British Empire. Tons of community volunteers and local heroes have this. Move up to OBE, officer of the British Empire, then CBE, commander. These 3 don't give you a title, just letters after your name. But then you hit the top 2, Knight or Dame Commander, KBE, DBE, and Knight or Dame Grand Cross, GBE. Those top 2 ranks. That's when you become Sir or Dame. There's also the British Empire Medal, which is separate but related. It's for meritorious service at the grassroots level, people who have done amazing things in their local communities, but might not have the national profile for a full OBE or MBE. The thing is, despite being called the Order of the British Empire, which, let's be honest, is a loaded term given Britain's colonial history, it remains the go-to honor for recognizing achievement. Some people have refused it or returned their honors specifically because of the name. Others argue we should keep it because it's now more about service than empire. It's complicated. Now here's where things get really specialized. The Royal Victorian Order is completely different from everything else because it's the monarch's personal gift. Most honors are recommended by the government, but the RVO? That's the king or queen personally saying thank you to people who have served them directly. We're talking royal household staff, courtiers, people who work at the palaces. It has 5 levels too: GCVO, KCVO, DCVO, CVO, LVO, and MVO, plus the Royal Victorian Medal for exceptional personal service. The top 2 ranks give you Sir or Dame, and the whole thing is basically the royal family's way of rewarding loyalty without any government interference. Then there's the Order of the Garter, and this is where we go full medieval. Founded in 1348 by Edward III, it's England's oldest and most prestigious order of chivalry. Only 24 people can be members at any time, plus the monarch and some royals. That's it, 24. You get appointed personally by the king or queen with 0 government input, which makes it insanely exclusive. Members get KG or LG after their names and participate in this incredible annual ceremony at Windsor Castle, where they wear elaborate robes and process to St. George's Chapel. It's pure pageantry, connecting today's achievers directly to medieval tradition. Scotland has its own equivalent, the Order of the Thistle. It was revived in 1687 and is limited to just 16 knights and ladies. Members get KT or LT after their names. They gather at St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh wearing green mantles and silver collars with the St. Andrew's Cross. It's Scotland's way of honoring its own without London getting involved, and like the Garter, appointments are the monarch's personal choice. For diplomats and foreign service, there's the Order of St. Michael and St. George. This one was founded in 1818, originally for people serving in Britain's Mediterranean territories. Today it's the honor for ambassadors, high commissioners, and people who have advanced British interests internationally. It has 3 ranks: CMG, KCMG, DCMG, and GCMG. And there's this absolutely brilliant inside joke in the diplomatic world. CMG supposedly stands for Call Me God, KCMG for Kindly Call Me God, and GCMG, the highest rank for God Calls Me God. Even stuffy diplomats have a sense of humor. The Order of the Bath is another old one, dating back centuries. The name comes from the medieval ritual where knights would bathe before being invested. Today it's primarily for senior military officers and high-ranking civil servants. Like most orders, it has multiple ranks, and the top levels confer knighthood. Now let's talk about the ultra-rare ones. The Order of Merit has only 24 members at any time, 24, in the entire country. It was created in 1902 by King Edward V specifically for people who have achieved extraordinary things in science, art, literature, or military service. Stephen Hawking had one, so did Mother Teresa. It doesn't give you Sir or Dame, just Ohm after your name, but everyone knows what it means. You're genuinely one of the most accomplished people alive. The Companion of Honor is similarly exclusive, only 65 members, and it's for people who have made sustained, exceptional contributions over their entire career. David Attenborough has one. Maggie Smith has one. It's basically the You've Been Crushing It for Decades award. You get CH after your name, and like the Order of Merit, it's given by the monarch on the Prime Minister's recommendation. And then there are the bravery medals. The Victoria Cross is the highest military award for valor in combat. It's been awarded only 1,358 times since 1856. Think about that. Over 160 years, fewer than 1,400 people have received it. You have to display conspicuous gallantry in the face of the enemy, which is code for you did something unbelievably brave when everyone else would have run away. Only 3 people have ever received it twice, which is almost incomprehensible. The George Cross is the civilian equivalent, created in 1940 during the Blitz. It recognizes acts of extreme courage not in battle, bomb disposal experts, people who ran into burning buildings, civilians who risked everything to save others. Both the VC and GC are made from bronze that supposedly comes from Chinese cannons captured during the Crimean War, though historians debate whether that's actually true or just a cool story. What's undeniable is that both medals are worn on distinctive ribbons, crimson for the VC, dark blue for the GC, and both represent the absolute pinnacle of human courage.